There was once a woman named Amaka. She was 35 years old and very beautiful, but her heart was full of hunger. Amaka got angry at everything. If her food was too salty, she shouted. If her husband came home late, she screamed. Even her neighbors were scared to greet her. Every morning, the village would hear her loud voice from far away. One day, their son Kelechi asked, "Papa, why is Mama always hungry?" Chuka cited, "I don't know, my son. I just pray for peace." The neighbors began to avoid their house. Children stopped coming to play with Amaka's children. People whispers, "That woman brings too much trouble." Years passed, and Chuka became tired. He tried talking to Amaka, but she'd only shouted more and even poured water on him once during an argument. One evening, Chuka sat under the mango tree and said to himself, "I cannot live like this forever. I need peace." So he made a decision. He would marry a second wife. When Amaka heard the news, she laughed loudly. "Ha! You want to bring another woman into this house? Let her come. I will show her pepper." Days later, Chuka brought his new wife home. Her name was Nneka. Nneka was young, gentle, and always smiling. She didn't talk much, but when she did, her voice was soft like music. At first, Amaka laughed when she heard the news. That girl, she would run away. In 1 week, Amaka said, her eyes full of fire. But 1 week passed, then 2, then 1 month. Nneka was still there, cooking, cleaning, and always smiling. And something strange started happening. Chuka stopped coming to Amaka's room. He stopped talking to her unless it was important. He spent all his time with Nneka. At night, Amaka could hear them laughing softly in the next room. Their laughter made her chest burn like fire. Amaka's anger grew bigger and louder. She broke plates. She even shouted at her house help, even her children, at every little mistake they made. She even poured water on Nneka's clothes one morning, but Nneka said nothing. She just picked up her clothes and dried them under the sun again. One day, Amaka woke up and found a small paper under her door. It was folded many times. Her hand shook as she opened it. There were only 5 words written. "Be careful, she is not normal." Amaka's heart jumped. Who sent this note? What does it mean? She ran to the gate, but the gatekeeper was not there. She ran to the kitchen, but Nneka was gone too. The house felt too quiet, too cold. She walked slowly to Nneka's room and touched the door, but it was locked from the inside. But she could hear something whispers, strange whispers. Amaka's hand trembled. She leaned closer, and then the door blew open. Nneka stood there smiling, but her eyes were not the same. They were dark, too dark. "Looking for something?" she asked. Amaka wanted to scream, but her voice was gone. Amaka stepped back. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Nneka was still smiling, but her eyes looked like they were hiding something deep and dark. Hi, Amaka stammered. Nneka walked out of the room slowly, her white wrapper dragging softly on the floor. She didn't blink. She didn't look away. She passed Amaka and whispered just one word as she walked by. "Careful." Amaka stood there frozen. Her heart was beating fast. Her head was full of questions. What kind of girl has Chuka brought into this house? And who sent that warning note? And from that day, something changed. Amaka became quiet, not soft, just quiet. She didn't shout. The next morning, when the children ran into the kitchen, she didn't scream. She just stared at Nneka with sharp eyes and a straight face. The whole village was confused. Has she fallen sick? One woman asked. Maybe the second wife used juju on her. Another whispers, "No, that's woman. I believe she's planning something. Mark my words," Mama Chinyere said. At home, Nneka kept smiling and singing while sweeping, making fresh soups. But she was also watching. She never turned her back on Amaka, not even for once. One night, something strange happened. The compound dog Bruno began barking wildly. It was midnight. Chuka came out with a torchlight, followed by Nneka. Amaka was already outside wearing a wrapper and holding a broom. What? Why is the dog barking? Chuka asked. No one answered when they saw it on the wall compound. Written in red oil were these words: "Only one woman can live here." Nneka looked at the wall, then at Amaka. Amaka looked back at her, calm and cold. "I didn't write it," she said, before anyone could speak. "I didn't say you write it," Nneka replied. Chuka stood confused. Is this a joke or a warning? But nobody laughed. The next day, the air in the house felt heavy, like a rainstorm was coming. Nneka kept quiet, but she locked her door at night. Amaka, on the other hand, started cooking again. For the first time in weeks, her stew was hotter than pepper. Nobody ate it, not even Bruno. Later that week, while everyone was asleep, a loud sound came from the kitchen. Crashed. The children screamed. Chuka ran out holding his lantern. Pots were on the ground, the shelf has fallen, and on the wall again, this time written in charcoal, were the words, "The fire is just starting." Chuka turned to Amaka. "Amaka, what's going on in this house?" But Amaka just smiled and said, "Ask your new wife." Nneka stepped out holding a candle. She looked around slowly. Her eyes stopped on the words on the wall. Then she whispers, "This house is no longer safe, oh. But not for me, Sha. I know that." Amaka narrowed her eyes. "Are you threatening me?" Nneka didn't answer. That night, no one slept. Even the moon refused to shine. And the next morning, something happened that changed everything. The next morning, before the sun could rise, a letter appeared on the doorstep. No one saw who dropped it. There was no name on it, just a single word written on the front in bold black letters. Truth. Chuka picked it up, his hands shaking. He opened it slowly, his eyes scanning the words. Then his face changed. First confusion, then shock, then fear. He turned to look at Nneka. "Is this true?" he asked, his voice dry. Nneka didn't answer. She walked over, took the letter and read it again, then folded it gently and tucked it into her wrapper. "Yes," she said quietly, "it's true." Amaka crossed her arm. "What truth? What is this nonsense?" Chuka looked at her, then at Nneka, then back again. I think it's time everyone knew what Nneka really is," he stammered. The children gathered near the door. Even the wind seems to pause waiting. Nneka sat down slowly on the wooden bench and began to speak. "My real name is not Nneka," she said. "My name is Ugochi." Amaka's eyes widened. "Ugochi?" she whispered. "Yes." "Nneka." Amara continued. "I came to this village with a reason, not just to be a second wife, but to find the woman who ruined my sister's life." The room froze. She turned slowly to Amaka. "Do you remember a woman called Ngozi from Oba village?" Amara's face dropped, her lip parted, but no words came out. "She used to sell roasted corn by the roadside," Ugochi said. "A kind lady, very peaceful lady." Chuka whispered, "That name, I remember her." "She's my elder sister," Ugochi said, her voice sharp now. and she died with pain in her heart because of a certain woman who accused her of stealing, beat her in the village square, and destroyed her name. All eyes turned to Amaka. "I was just a girl," Ugochi said, standing up now, "but I saw everything. I swear I wouldn't find that woman, and here she is standing in front of me." The compound was silent. When Amaka did something no one expected, she burst into tears. "I didn't know. I didn't mean to hurt her," she said, holding her chest. "She embarrassed me in public. She called me names. She mocked me first," Amaka said, stammering. "She never stole from you," Ugochi shouted. "You lied and the whole village believed you." Amaka fell to the floor weeping. "I was young, hungry, full of fire," she cried, "and I never knew it would destroy someone's life. I became worse with time. I become a woman I no longer recognize." The children didn't know what to do. Chuka looked lost. The truth had dropped like a heavy stone in the middle of their home. But Ugochi wasn't finished. "I didn't come here to destroy you," she said quietly. "I came to show you your own fire, to make you feel the pain you gave others." And just when everyone thought it was over, a loud knock came at the compound gate. 3 hard knock. Chuka walked to the gate and opened it. Standing there were 2 strangers in city clothes. One of them pulled out a badge. "Good morning," he said. "We are looking for a woman named Amaka. We have some question about a case from 15 years ago." Amaka and Chuka's face turned pale, and the silence that followed was louder than thunder. The 2 strangers stepped into the compound. They were tall, serious-looking men with sharp eyes. One held a brown folder in his hand. The other had a small recorder. "We are from the State Special Crimes Division," the first one said, "and we have reopened an old case, one that involves a missing woman and a stolen land document from Oba village." Amaka stumbled backward. "I don't know anything about that," she whispers, but her hands tremble. The man opened the folder and pulled out a faded photo. "Do you know this woman?" It was a photo of Ngozi, Ugochi's elder sister, smiling. I've seen her face before," Amaka muttered. "She went missing shortly after a fight with a certain woman," the officer continued. "Someone reported that she was just seen walking towards the stream and never returned." The entire compound went quiet. Ugochi stepped forward, her eyes burning. "You said she died from shame." "But she didn't die, she disappeared." Amaka looked up slowly. "I swear I didn't kill her." "Maybe not," the officer said, "but someone did something and now someone is talking." Then he turned his eyes towards Chuka. "You, sir, your name is Chuka Nkem?" "Yes." Chuka frowned. "Yes, what does this have to do with me?" The second officer opened a small notebook. "Back in the days, you worked as a clerk for the land registry office in Oba village." Chuka's eyes darted left and right. "Yes, many years ago. We believe you helped forge land documents that were taken from the woman in that photo," the officer said. "A small farm that was transferred to a new name right before she disappeared." Amaka turned slowly. "Chuka, was it you?" Sweat rolled down Chuka's face. His mouth opened but no words came out. Amaka stared at him in disbelief. "Chuka, you told me she gave up the land herself." He shook his head. "I thought it would help us start a new life. We were poor and she was just one woman. I never knew she would vanish. You forged the paper, Ugochi asked, her voice shaking. I needed money, Chuka cried. I just needed something to feed my family. I didn't hurt her, I swear. I only took the land, Chuka said, stammering. Ugochi stepped back, her hands over her mouth. So both of you, she whispered, destroyed my sister. The officer nodded slowly. We have enough evidence to take this matter to court, but there is something strange. Someone recently sent us a new evidence, an anonymous source. Chuka's eyes widened. Who? The officer paused. A man named Jide. He claimed to know what happened by the stream. Amaka gasped. Jide, that madman, he's still alive? Ugochi looked at her sharply. Who is Jide? Chuka turned pale. He is the man who saw everything, but no one ever believed him because he lost his mind. Maybe he didn't lose his mind, Ugochi whispered. Maybe he just carried the truth for too long. Before anyone could speak again, the wind picked up. A loud creak came from the gate, and there, walking in slowly, was a hunched man with wild grey eyes and grey hairs and a walking stick. Jide, he looked around the compound and smiled. I remember this place, he said. This is where the secret lies. Then he pointed a bony finger at Amaka. You pushed her. I saw it. Gasps filled the air. No, Amaka screamed. It was an accident. But Jide shook his head. You two fought by the stream. You slapped her. She fell, hit her head on the stone. He turned to Chuka. And you told me to keep quiet. You gave me money, told me to forget, but I never did. The officer looked at each other. Thank you, Jide, one said, as they led him to sit down. The sun began to rise closely over the compound, but it brought no warmth, only fear, only truth. And far away deep in the forest, something else was moving, something that had been watching all along. The officer stood tall and firm. Amaka once said, you are under investigation for the disappearance and possible death of Ngozi. For being part of a land fraud case, you will need to come with us for questioning. Amaka collapsed to her knees. Please, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to kill her. I was just angry. I was tired. She made fun of me. I pushed her and she fell. I didn't know she would die. Ugochi stood still, tears falling down her cheek. For years she had dreamed of revenge. But now, all she saw was a broken woman, tired, shaking, begging for mercy. Chuka tried to speak, but the officer raised their hands. You will also be questioned for your part in the forged land transfer. You knew the truth and kept it hidden. The children wept as their mother was led away. Wrapped in shame, Chuka sat on the ground, holding his head. The secret he had buried for years had finally come out, and now everything was lost. Ugochi remained silent. Later that evening, the village was buzzing. Some people said justice had come. Others said it was a curse. But everyone agreed truth never stays buried forever. A week passed. Ugochi packed her bags to leave. She had done what she came to do. But before she left, she called the children to her side. Your mother made a terrible choice. So did your father. But you are not them. You can choose a better way. Be kind, be honest. Be peaceful, most especially. Don't carry pain the way they did. One of the children, Nneka, asked, will Mama ever come home again? Ugochi looked down. Her soft voice That depends on what the court decide. But even if she does, I believe she would have learned a lesson. As she walked out of the compound, wind blew gently. The trees swayed, and for the first time in many years, the air felt clean. The moral lesson of this story is anger is a fire that can burn everything in its path, including the people you love. When we do not heal from our pain, we pass it on to others. But the truth, no matter how long it sleeps, always wake up. It is better to choose peace, seek forgiveness, and do what is right before the truth finds you. The end.